Hey everybody, welcome into the very first Tavern Talk 2.0. This is exciting. I've never done anything quite like this before, but it's going to be an interesting experiment. If you guys like this, make sure that you guys give it a thumbs up, like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you're notified when new videos come out. I am joined by my very good friend Tate. Tate, how are you doing, man?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I am doing very well. I was looking at the feed earlier, just kind of getting a grasp of like how long we've been doing this sort of thing. And, I'm sort of new to the recording side of stuff, but I've known you since, the 4th grade.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
So we've got a little bit of history there. And then I went and looked it up. Did you know that you were in our 3rd video that we ever released on Velvet Games?
Oh, really? That was D&D or something?
It was a D&D video. Exactly.
Man, I missed that.
Yeah, it was Uladar in Trouble campaign episode 1. You guys should see that tag pop up if you want to go watch that video. It's, I would say classic Velvet Games when we really had no idea what we were doing. I believe Jason was DMing that one.
That's when the most fun things happen, when you have no idea what you're doing.
Exactly. It's just, you sit down and just kind of wing it like we're doing right now. I mean, that's how all good things start, and putting that video out there, I really wasn't sure how well it was going to be received. It didn't do amazing, I would say, but at the same token, I think just kind of getting our identity established and figuring out how we're going to do stuff, it was a very different type of video than I was anticipating. And I mean, what would you say? Like, if you could go back to that time, would you change how that video came out, or because I know you were one of the players.
Oh yeah, no, not at all. I actually remember I went back and listened to the video just because I thought it was pretty fun. Like, I wanted to relive it a little bit. Because again, I'm pretty sure, wasn't that the video I got the one of polymorph or something? And I turned George into a dinosaur in the middle of an really populated city.
I love that you bring that up. I don't think that was in this campaign. I think that was a different campaign, and I wish we recorded that because I do remember that was hilarious. For those listening, the concept of what was happening was somehow, and I think George was DMing if I'm not mistaken. You managed to get a wand of fireball and a wand of polymorph, and you were somehow
had double disadvantage and triple 20s, 320.
You're just sitting there dual wielding these things, so it's fireball, polymorph, and I know that's not generally how the items are supposed to be used, but at some point, George gets turned into a dinosaur in the middle of town because he failed I forget the check. Man, really shows what kind of D&D player I am, right? Man, I think
Jason was DM actually.
Yeah, you're right. You know what?
Was a rogue.
You're right. It was Jason because you were playing with George, and George thought, "Oh, I got this. It's a Constitution save or whatever it was."
It had to be something of the sort. Whatever Jason cooked up.
And when he did that, just boom! Instantly, a brontosaurus in the middle of town square, and the look on his face was priceless. Oh man, but yeah, I think as far as that goes, I wouldn't consider myself a thoroughly experienced D&D player. I've had a little bit more experience as of late. I've DM'd a couple sessions, for some friends and whatnot, just getting out there and giving myself an opportunity to kind of explore the DMing side of stuff. But in all honesty,
I enjoyed the campaigns that you DM'd.
I appreciate that.
I've been a part of.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. I feel like I'm not that well experienced in them, but I try to just kind of roll with the punches, really give the players an opportunity to explore the world as opposed to something that's more, hard crafted around a specific rule set.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to custom made stuff. I know a lot of DMs out there, they get very particular, we'll just say, about how custom made items work and exist within their worlds. And I understand the idea of wanting to have that well-established world and everything.
I mean, honestly, if you don't have boundaries, you know what I mean?
Exactly. Exactly.
Like me with dual wielding fireball
And this is why we feel this way sometimes. So to step into the DM shoes, I've only been in maybe, I want to say 6 or 7 different campaigns. One of them, the only one that I've been in that I guess I could consider long term, was one that I ran for the party. I don't think you were able to make it to that one, but I called it the Fires of the Nine Hells. And the whole concept of it was basically that there was this war in Avernus that, well, obviously, the blood war that was going on. I don't know how well in the lore you know about the D&D stuff, but for those who aren't aware, in the D&D lore, there's this ongoing war between devils and demons with the Blood Rift in this giant stretching battlefield with just millions of corpses as these armies just clash against each other eternally. Well, the concept was there was a magical item that effectively sealed off the Blood Rift and destroyed. Oh my gosh, what is his name? Now I'm blanking. That's troublesome.
His name is Bartholomew.
No, he's literally at like the very bottom.
No, I have no idea.
Asmodeus. Asmodeus. So, yeah.
I was right there. One guess away.
So basically what happened is this magical item, it was what I called the Horn of Destiny, basically destroyed Asmodeus. But because he's basically the supreme ruler, so-and-so, if you will, over the rest of the hells, his incorporeal form was basically transferred up to what I called like the Grand Elder's Circle. Again, sort of a reimagining of the loose lore that exists with the interplanar environments, and basically had all of these deities basically gamble for his soul, if you will, and he ends up getting reincarnated as a magic rock back in Faerun. And he has no memory of his existence as Asmodeus. He ended up being one of our players. We'll actually have him on another time, and I'm definitely going to bring that up because the guy is a lot of fun to play with and a very unique personality. I think you guys will enjoy that. But he ended up reascending as Asmodeus. That was the whole quest. I felt a little bad about it because, I didn't really want to make it this, game where one person is specialized above another, or the whole campaign's built around that person, but that's just kind of how it happened. And it ended up turning out all right. I think at the end, everybody got their moment in the spotlight. Another one of our players who played a rogue, he'd never played a rogue before, and he did a rogue Grave Warden build, which in theory sounds really cool in theory, but if you don't know how to play it, like if you don't have personal experience playing this or guidance playing it, you're not going to do anything with it. It'll be like, oh, I'm going to sneak, cast a cantrip. I'm going to sneak, cast a cantrip. And it was, it didn't end up turning out very well. I think he ended up playing it the best he could, but he was very new to D&D. I feel a little bit bad about the way that was handled. But,
unfortunate.
And sometimes, like, I gotta say, campaigns really don't always turn out the way that you expect them to. In a lot of cases, you remember the one that we did, the pirate campaign.
Oh yeah, that was pretty cool.
That's another one. I ended up homebrewing an entire version of D&D, which this is like, I had been playing D&D for maybe 3 months, maybe at that time, and I sat down and said, you know what, I'm gonna make this a whole thing. I'm gonna redo D&D in the image I have for it, but I don't understand magic, so I'm not including it. It was all martial classes, except there was basically a non-magic artificer as well. And, I've heard mixed things. I've heard some people really liked that one. Others felt that it was kind of cheaty because, again, I didn't understand what I was doing, but there were these curses that, like, certain mythical creatures. For example, I had Davy Jones in there, and he literally just teleports between spaces, sort of like a, almost like a magic door or a portal, where he would enter into a solid object and exit out of a completely different one. And in doing so, he basically teleported onto a balloon. And I should have known this. Again, this is going back to gotta have rules. One of the players decided to make an orbital bombardment cannon. Horrible idea. This guy's been on the channel, and I love him to bits, but my gosh, that one did not turn out so well. I had to nerf it, and I felt bad doing it, but it had to be done. That campaign did not end well.
Funny.
What would you consider your... So first of all, let me back it up a little bit. I know you've played D&D with us a bit before. I know you also have some experience in Magic. What is your overall experience with D&D? Like, you know, when did you first start getting into this?
So I first started getting into it when you invited me, but mainly. But when I lived in Tennessee, Sierra and I moved there. My wife's name's Sierra. But we moved to Tennessee to be closer to her dad for like a year. And I had this buddy named Waldo, and that I met at this terrible job at some meat like factory, like a processing plant.
Mm-hmm.
And like he invited me over to like one of his buddy's house, and we played D&D. I played for the first time there. And dude, they took it super seriously, and it almost like kind of put me off of it until I started playing with you and you invited me. Dude, they all they did was like immediately we started, and I don't even remember what it was. I was like a dragonborn or something like that. And this like as soon as like I got introduced in the campaign, like 3 of them started attacking me because of the class I chose. Just like, they were like, the class that I have doesn't like the class that you have, so I mean I have to, you know what I mean? It's by the book.
Yeah.
I was like, well, that sucks, you know, and they just smoked me like right off the bat. Luckily the DM was like cool with, and he was like, and he doesn't die of rock falls on you guys or something. I don't know, you know what I mean? Something along those lines, you know?
Okay, yeah. But yeah, I can see where you're going with that. You know, I gotta voice my frustration a little bit. You know, some of the players that I played with, and I'm not naming names, you know, it's just other people I've encountered will take games to certain extremes, to the point where
gatekeeping to a point, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
they don't allow the new players to like enjoy themselves and have fun, so they
exactly,
you know what I mean? Whatever group they have.
Exactly. And you know, like, if you're going to invite a player to join your game, you want to make it as open and inviting as possible. You know, obviously, like, you have to consult with the whole party, you know, and that's, I find that as a rule of thumb, not just as a DM, but as a player. If you're going to invite someone else, you have to communicate that with everybody and make sure everyone's okay with it, because you can bring someone into a game and either there's such a novice that they don't know what they're doing and it slows everyone down, it can cause frustration, or the complete flip side of that is the players themselves are so well experienced or so into their character, into their role play, that they take it to extremes and do stuff like that, you know?
Yeah.
And I know a lot of DMs generally will even ban like player-player combat, just because they know that stuff like that can happen, where someone will just fly off the handlebar and kill their teammate. And, you know, so,
which can be kind of funny.
It can be funny. And, you know, there's a right way to do that, right? Like, to work it into either the story or to make it a comedic event or something like that. You don't want there to be any real long-lasting consequences off of it. And you certainly don't want to alienate the people that you're bringing in, because at the end of the day, if they go home and they did not have a good time, why would they come back? You know? And
exactly.
I understand the level of like obligations, like, oh, I'm part of a party now. And, you know, I want to make sure that I'm contributing and I'm here when I need to be here. But, you know, if you're not having a good time, there's no reason to put yourself through that. And I think that's something a lot of seasoned D&D players will experience as well.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, tell me, man. So we know your background in D&D now. You mentioned Magic, and I've heard you say it just a couple of times. Personally,
it's very minimal exposure. I played like once or twice with a buddy of mine named Michael, and honestly, like I did enjoy the time that I played, but it was so long ago that I don't even remember exactly how it, you know what I mean, how it works. But I remember enjoying myself a couple of times I did play with him. But it was like you said, like man, there was a lot of guidance. If you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
While I played against him, you know.
Yeah.
He gave me a deck, and he kind of just told me like how some of the cards work and like how to play certain what's it called? We're cutting this part out. Give me a sec.
No, you're good, man. I got you.
What's the man? It's not like a play or something. What's it called when like you I guess my turn or something?
I mean, I guess to some extent.
To some extent, whatever.
I'll be fully honest with everybody. Like, I'm not a big Magic player. You know, I personally don't really like the game, and I don't take this out of context. It's just a personal thing. I've never really been one for the, you know, collecting, you know, sort of strategy card game that requires that level of commitment to it, you know? I prefer something that's, they certainly can be.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at some of the stuff on the channel, like, I think at one point, Nick opened a box that was like $460 or something like that.
Insanity.
I mean, and you know, power to you guys. If you really enjoy this game, I am for it. Like, you have fun with that. I'm cool, but I'm also broke. So I look at this as like,
I'm over here saying that's insanity, and I just bought like a 4080 Super for like $1,200.
Oh man.
You know, everybody has a poison, dude.
Everybody's got their own thing. To me personally, you know, I tried to get into MetaZoo, rest in peace, but you know, that was it never really worked out. I have 2 decks. They were both just like starter packs, I think. One of them was the native pack, I believe, and the other one was the I know it sounds crazy, the Hello Kitty pack, the Sanrio. I got the Sanrio cryptid pack because I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, these are going to be adorable. You know, they come out and they're going to be these little chibi characters, and lo and behold, it's exactly what I thought it was going to be. And you know what? I never played with them because I never have anybody to play with. And then they also went bankrupt. And
there you go.
Yeah, sad times. So, you know, unfortunately, that door was closed before I could even walk through it. But you know what? It's a part of our history, and I'm glad that we made that video. I'm glad that we, you know, did the MetaZoo stuff. For those of you that still enjoy playing MetaZoo, leave a comment down below. Tell me, like, what is your favorite deck to run? Do you still play often? You know, just tell me a little bit about that, because I'll be honest, I have never met in person another player for MetaZoo outside of our group of guys. You know, like Austin, Zach, Nick, and Jason, like they're the only ones I'm aware of that play MetaZoo. And I'm pretty sure Jason was introduced to it basically on the fly. You know, he didn't know any of the stuff going into it. I'd have to ask him at some point, but you know, it's one of those situations where you end up with something that went nowhere, and it's really, really a shame how that was handled. By the way, to those who aren't aware, we currently have a game on Kickstarter called Rise to Riches. I'm gonna have the link in the description of this video. If you wanna help support it, we would be eternally grateful. It is probably the project that I have put the most time into over the last couple years. We've had this in production for so long, but we haven't talked about it at all because we knew that it needed more love before we could release it. Even into the last weeks, we've been tweaking stuff. You know, new artwork we've been putting in there. You know, adding in new banner ads and stuff like that. Just building all of the assets takes so much time. You know, running a small business is not something that any of us have ever done before. So going from no experience into this, we've worked the numbers and we're excited to see where this is going to go. But enough about that. I know you're not here to talk about that. Let's get back to you, Tate. So, question for you.
Yep.
How early? How early is too early to decorate for Christmas?
I hate you for asking this question because before Thanksgiving is the answer. But guess what is currently installed?
Oh, I know. I saw the video you sent me. I saw that in the corner. You thought I wouldn't see that.
I hope you would, so we can both just terrorize my wife. and tell her that November 1st is too soon for Christmas decorations, because there's a whole nother holiday between now and Christmas, you know?
There is
That
another
she
holiday.
just completely overlooks.
Now, is it fair to say that you could actually group together Christmas and Thanksgiving into sort of a super holiday spanning the months of November and December?
I'm not sure. I don't think I would agree with that statement. I don't think.
So, in your personal
It
opinion,
needs to be completely separate, because Thanksgiving is when you get together with your family and you eat like turkey and like, you know, all those the good Thanksgiving meal that you all think about. And for me personally, it's a time when a lot of out of town family comes,
Mhm.
and they'll have Thanksgiving meal with us. But then Christmas is just local family, like really like only close relatives, you know?
interesting.
You know, that's really how Christmas and Thanksgiving have been for my family. So
Very
I feel like
interesting.
them would be very like, it'd be like water and oil, you know what I mean? Like, it's two completely separate things in my mind.
So now we know who wears the pants in your family. Anyways, moving on.
Pretty much. No. Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah, for context, Tate sent me a video about an hour ago. I guess it's almost an hour ago, of his little munchkins running around, causing mayhem, and pans over into the living room, and I see just out of the corner the presence of a Christmas tree. So I had to bring that up.
Oh yeah, like in that video, you see my dog eating food on the floor that Kai has thrown on the floor, and then my daughter slamming her head in her hands into the refrigerator in the kitchen, and then my son has his iPad, and he was right before the video was just screaming at the top of his lungs about dino trucks, and they were supposed to be in bed like 20 minutes before that. So
How it goes, right?
and they were in bed actually 20 minutes before. It's the beauty. It's just crazy, the whole situation, you know. It all happened so fast.
They just reappeared and started
Yeah.
doing what they do.
Yep, pretty much.
Oh, that's fantastic. So I know we've talked about it personally, but what would you say would be the hardest adaptation from married life into life with kids?
The hardest adaptation. Probably not having time alone. Like this however long this like session goes, like for the podcast, is probably the first like real alone time that doesn't, I mean, unless you count at work, you know what I mean? But
No, I don't count that. That's not fair.
this is the most alone time I've had inside my house in probably 3 years.
Oh man,
You know, 2 years actually, because my son's only 2.5. But
brother,
yeah.
we gotta find some time for you to dial it back a little bit and find that alone
Right.
time again.
Yeah, nah, and Sierra doesn't get a lot either. She's a trooper. She does so much at the house with kids all day, every day.
Oh,
And there
poor
was
Sierra.
a point in time when she went to, what was it? She went to Texas to visit her sister.
Mhm.
And it was like a 4-day trip, and I had the kids all by myself, and I was working, and God bless my mom for coming and helping me while I was working. But it was just an eye-opening experience of what she has to deal with every day. But at the same time, like she doesn't have to deal with it all day every day by herself, because I come home and help, you know. But like
Exactly.
dealing with it by yourself, man, I've been feeding her vitamins and all of the healthy food, you know what I mean? Because she needs to live for a long time, because I'm never doing that by myself again, you know.
Absolutely. You know what? God bless Sierra. I've seen her with the kids, you know, coming back from the store and you know, Penelope's therapy appointments and everything. But yeah, absolutely. Like I feel for this woman. You guys are hanging in there. You're really troopers, and I respect that.
Oh yeah, but don't get me wrong, it definitely is the coolest thing that ever happened to me. So like the biggest adaptation would be like the time alone doesn't exist anymore, but in place of that, you get to spend time with the little ones, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
You don't even really think about the time alone as much, you know, when you just see how getting to watch them grow is so special.
Right.
You know?
No, absolutely. I mean, you know, the reward at the end of the day is gotta outweigh that so much. You know, I don't have kids, but you know, I can only imagine what it would be to watch these little people, you know, grow and turn into, you know, these. I mean, I remember when Kai was just so tiny. You know, you brought him over at one point, and the guy is just. I mean, he must have been like a few weeks old. I mean,
yeah, he was super tiny. He was still in like the rear facing, super like strapped in car seat, not the sitting one. And yeah, now we brought him over and got to meet him and see. Honestly, he needs to come over and see your parents again. Honestly,
it's been a little while.
Too long.
It's been a little while.
Time. But yeah, no, we need to definitely plan that. That'd be really cool.
Absolutely.
But I have been kind of, I don't know the word to use really, but trying to get them into video games at a young age, you know, like before they're even able to play it. Like, people sit on my desk for hours and just watch me play like Minecraft or Sea of Thieves or something like that. It's actually pretty cool. I will sit there and try and punch my monitor and my keyboard, but Penelope, I think there's potential, you know? Like she really gets into it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you know, I was actually thinking about that. At some point, maybe what we could end up doing is for one of the Tavern Talks is we just play a game and chat at some point. You know, Sea of Thieves is definitely one we could end up doing that with, because it's, I wouldn't say it's mindless per se, but it's definitely not something that you need a lot of like dedicated mental faculties for.
Absolutely. No, it's a lot of fun. The only time you need dedicated mental faculty is when you're getting chased. You're in a sloop and you're getting chased across the ocean from like Red Sea to like corner to corner, you know, by a galley.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Of dudes just trying to take your loot. It's so much fun.
Yeah. Honestly, I haven't had a good opportunity to be able to do something like that, but you know, I could see making that happen. You know, tell you what, for the listeners, if you guys are interested in seeing that, let me know in the comments and suggest a game. Like, you know, I'm pretty open to most things as long as it's something that my computer can run. I can run most things. You know, I do a lot of rendering on this thing, so you know, we'll take a look at that. But you know what? That is the perfect segue for the next topic. What do you think about you know, the last few years in games has been a little dry. You know, some of the stuff that's come up has just kind of fallen flat. I'm not going to pretend to be a Ubisoft fanboy or anything, but you know, the stuff that they've released lately over the last like 2 or 3 years has just kind of been fizzled. Not to say there haven't been a few that have stuck out. You know, I'm personally not a Souls player, but I know a lot of people like, you know, the
big Souls.
Exactly. So all the Souls games that have come out, Elden Ring is, you know, absolutely huge. But
it's so much fun.
We have some really exciting games that look like they're coming out next year. And I don't know if you've gotten to see the list, but you know,
I don't think I have.
At least for the next, and I won't say that all of these are next year. I've got up on the screen here. I'll, you know, kind of scroll through it so everybody can see, but you know, not all of these, of course, are going to be games that are coming out.
Discord? Dude, I didn't take a look at them.
No, I'm not sharing screen, but I can do that here. I'll do that so you can see it. So here are the games that it's showing that are coming out this year and the next. I see some really big titles on here. You know, the fact that, I mean, personally, I love the Kingdom Come Deliverance series. When I heard that was getting a new one, I literally like jumped up and said, hold on, I need to tell people about this one. You know, the original game was phenomenal. I don't know that everybody knows this game, but basically you take on the role of a, I believe, 15th century Czech peasant. I guess he's not a peasant, he's a blacksmith's boy who has his town raided and ends up doing everything he can to bring his father's sword, the sword that his father made, to Sir Radzig, who is this basically the noble over his town, but they end up getting separated. The sword gets lost. It's this big, you know, big story through that. And it's probably one of the more difficult games that I've played, specifically because as a single player game, it's odd to find a game that doesn't have a difficulty rating built into the settings. You can't change it. It's
interesting.
You just play. There's nothing the only thing I think you can do is turn on hardcore mode, which basically means you get one save and that's it. So, it really means that you have to dive in and be ready for whatever they throw at you. And the combat can get tough. It's not like other games where they kind of baby you and go in, one person at a time. You can have 3 people, 4 people, 5 people all swinging swords at you at the same time, and you can get overwhelmed really quick. So, pacing yourself with this is sort of a strategy within that is really, really interesting, and not something that, I think I've ever really had to think about in a game before. But
that seems kind of like a Soul style where like there's just one difficulty and either you beat it or you don't. You know what I mean? Like, good luck, dude. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
yeah.
Even in Souls games, you have like the respawn points, and you can obviously get better armor and like swords and stuff. But
exactly,
to make it easier. But right at the beginning, it's pretty much like, hey, either you beat that boss or you don't get that item you're looking for.
Right.
Which is part of the fun of the game for me. I've spent countless hours, maybe even days, just fighting a singular boss and beating my head against the wall, be like, just die, dude.
No, I mean, yeah. I know certain people who really like the Souls game. I'll be honest, a lot of my friends like the Souls game, but that's really never been my style. I'm of the mindset
like if I'm 1, 3, and Elden Ring, those are the only ones.
I get it, but at the same token, I'm thinking, if I'm gonna sit down and play a game, I want to really enjoy myself. I don't want to suffer for 3 hours and make 10 minutes of progress because I'm really bad at it. And maybe that's just me, call me out.
Of it though. That's the beauty though, because you spend an hour to make that 10 minutes progress, but then you have that 10 minutes progress forever. Because that 10 minutes progress that you learn, like you're learning the boss's moveset, you're learning like when you're able to punish their attacks. You know what I mean? So like, and you're learning which weapons might be better suited to fight bosses that are of that type. You know what I mean? So it's like yeah, I think that part of the reason you don't like it is because like you said, everybody's bad at it though. You know what I mean? It's not just you. Everybody starts off bad in Souls games. There's not, maybe there's some legend out there, you know what I mean? Giga Chad that just picked up the sticks and beat every boss, like no death run,
I refuse to believe those people exist. I'm sorry. There's no way.
Man, I've seen some legends, man. Some kid like my little brother Ty. I got him into Elden Ring, and so he picked it up and he was terrible at first. Like literally the first day we played together, it was awful. And then the next day I got on the morning with him and he was better than me. And I was just like, wait, what's going on? And he's like, well, I haven't slept. And I just kept fighting that same boss over and over again. And then I just kind of figured out how everything worked. And I'm like, that's bullshit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's sort of the space I find myself in, is recognizing that I just don't have the time to play games like I used to. I feel really old saying that, yeah. I'm not that old, I'm 27, you're not that old. But at the same token, as life really starts to take off, running a small business, I got church obligations and other things going on, just trying to kind of keep up with the day-to-day, it gets really complicated. And I find that, if I sit down to play a game, I might play for like 45 minutes to an hour. That's all I'm getting for that day. And that's if I even have the time to do that. Over the last month, I think I've maybe put in about 5 hours. I call myself a gamer. I'm a gamer, Gamer Kingdom, the PC master race, whatever you want to say. But at the same token, I just don't have that time anymore. And I'm kind of sad about that, maybe it's like, especially, I don't know if it's me or if it's the games themselves, because I feel like I could find time to play them if I really wanted to,
But there's just not that drive to play. Just because, some of the titles that are coming out have been really fun and really good, but it feels like a lot of things recently have been recycled.
Oh, absolutely.
and nobody's coming out with new, like, fun, different concepts. You know what I mean? It just seems like everything's so cut and dry, and it's the same shit that you played last year. It's just got a different skin and maybe a little bit better graphics. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah, I saw a video recently, basically like highlighting why graphics don't seem to be getting as good as they used to be, right? Like back in the day, like, and I'm talking like when I was small and, games were out and you had like the N64 and like the Sega Dreamcast was the big one, I think, when I was a kid. I remember I had a friend who had the Dreamcast, I had the GameCube. And I remember seeing these graphics back then and thinking, man, these were great. I can remember everything about this. I had it was a 007 game that I played on the Xbox at one time and thinking, man, this game is awesome. I loaded that game up a few years ago just to see what it was like again. And those graphics were horrible in comparison. And, you see it through rose-colored glasses. But then if you start comparing, like, the stuff that was made, let's say in, like, 2004, that's really sort of, like, the end, I would say, of the old school, at least around that time frame, maybe, like, 2002 to, like, 2006, sort of the end of that old school graphic style with the 2D and low-res 3D CG. And then you start moving into, like, the Xbox 360 was released. That was a really big step up. The PS3. And you see these massive step up with the, the number of polygon count in there. And they went from looking mediocre or bad to looking pretty good. Then they went from that to looking really good. And where do you go from there? You can only add so many polygons into this 3D CG, and it already looks pretty close, but if you compare them side by side, they don't look all that different. Skyrim may not be the most beautiful game ever created, but realistically, its graphics still kind of hold up today. And maybe that's controversial, but...
I mean, I think they do. I mean, especially with mods.
well, especially with mods, absolutely. You throw in some textures onto that. Yeah, absolutely.
But like when you're talking about incremental like progress like that, it's hard to see it when it's right in your face, because like yeah, you see the difference and it's like, wow, that looks better. This looks amazing compared to the last one, and then the next one looks amazing compared to the last one. But like it's still slight progress just over our lifetime, pretty much. You know what I mean? And when you go like, because you forget about how bad it actually used to be,
Exactly.
And yeah,
everything's through rose-colored glasses. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I still remember, and I just brought this up because I saw a special Death Stranding is on discount right now, and I remember the demo, I guess, if you will, for PT when that came out, and everybody was losing their minds because not only was it a reintroduction or a step back into the Silent Hill franchise, but it looked incredible. And then when they pulled the rug out, that whole fiasco. But looking back on that, when did that come out? Let's see.
What was it?
Silent Hill PT.
I don't know.
Let's see. So PT. That was in 2014. That was a decade ago.
Wow.
And I think those still hold up as looking pretty good. Like...
I mean, I'm just looking at some images. I don't believe I ever played this game, but...
No, so PT never came out. PT was a demo. PT was a demo. It was the demo for what was supposed to be Silent Hill PT. And I remember everyone lost their minds because at the end of the demo, you have Norman Reedus, who played Daryl on The Walking Dead, step out of this, and he's looking around, and he looked real. Like, at the time anyway. I mean, even looking at the images here, you can still tell it's him.
I was looking at it. Yeah, it looks really good.
And this was 10 years ago, like... I still don't know the full story behind the PT. We'll talk about that another time. Maybe we'll feature that on an episode. But, looking at this and then thinking about the stuff that they have coming out today, it just doesn't hold a candle to it,
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, going back to what I was saying before with the really big titles, Kingdom Come Deliverance is going to look amazing, but we've got some other really big titles here that I'm excited for. I don't even see it here, and maybe because it's coming out this year technically. Have you seen the Indiana Jones game that's coming out?
No.
Oh my gosh.
I'm looking it up right now.
So there is an Indiana Jones game that is coming out. The man who voices Indiana Jones really did a good job, I think, of sounding and, mimicking the mannerisms of Harrison Ford back in the 80s. He doesn't sound like, some knockoff. He legitimately sounds like him. He looks pretty well like him. Well, I mean, obviously it's in the game, so they can use Indy's, image and likeness in there because he's a property of Disney. But it is going to be a first-person adventure game. I'm a little skeptical about the first person, but it looks really good. I'm just curious to see how they're going to execute that.
Man, it looks pretty insane.
Especially when that trailer dropped, I remember just thinking man, is this the next, I don't want to say it's the next stage in gaming, but just, sue me, I really like the idea of bringing back old properties that either have not been explored in a specific manner or revisiting ones that have in a completely new light. Because we've never had a really good Indiana Jones game. We've had Lego Indiana Jones, and that was fun.
Indiana Jones Lego was gas.
That was a fun game. I mean, I remember playing that with my sister for hours and hours.
And the Lego Batman, both of those just hit. With, of course, Lego Star Wars. But
yeah, I think the original Lego Indiana Jones, was that for the PS2? It might have been PS3. But whatever it was, I remember playing that with my sister for a long time and just enjoying the world of it. It felt like you were immersed in it, and that sounds funny for a Lego game, but they did a good job, and I'll give them I'll give them a hand on that one for sure. So to come back to the franchise in a completely different manner, exploring a timeline. If I'm not mistaken, I heard this is supposed to be after Raiders of the Lost Ark, but before Temple of Doom. So it's sort of this in-between stage of, he's traveling around the world doing these different things. We're fighting Nazis again, so coming back to classic indie adventures.
And I'm so sorry to kind of cut you off for a second.
No,
I
you're
just
good,
was watching a little bit of this gameplay. And man, if they really lean into some of these puzzles, like these room puzzles, they can kind of make it escape room style. I think that's some really fun unexplored territory right there. Like specifically for Indiana Jones, they can just take it. It's such a fun.
Exactly.
Fun path.
Does it say what engine it's made with?
And developer is Machine Games. Publisher Bethesda. But yeah, I don't see an engine. I'm sure it's somewhere on here.
So according to this, and this is a Bethesda Softworks subreddit, so take this with a grain of salt. It says Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is being made with the ID Tech engine, which was also used to develop the Doom and Wolfenstein games. So that could be really interesting because both of those games, I mean, especially for what they are, did it very, very well. So I guess we'll wait with bated breath. It comes out and I think it's not out yet, is it? I think
No. It says pre-purchase. It's coming December 8th.
December 8th. Okay, so about a month out. So, we're looking at, potentially a new era of games. I feel like maybe game developers have finally realized that people are done with the recycled nonsense. They're looking for something fresh.
Absolutely.
So we'll see how that goes, but looking at some of these other titles on here, I mean, the elephant in the room, Grand Theft Auto 6. Like, I don't know that we're going to see that this coming year, but possibly the next year, mid 2026. That's not that far away.
I'm excited about Grand Theft Auto 6. Since Grand Theft Auto 5 came out, after the first 6 months, after everybody beat the campaign multiple times, was destroying online play and maxed everything out. It's we've been waiting on it, for so long. It doesn't feel real anymore.
No.
It's just
And I remember the memes when they hit about that were just ridiculous. Just everybody is saying, okay, we got an announcement on that. I guess we only have to wait another 15 years, so.
It's valid, though. I mean, they deserve it. Like, kick it into gear a little bit, guys, you know?
Honestly, though, when it comes to that, because I'm, tell me if you feel different, but with some of the games that have come out in the past, and specifically ones in the late 2010s, early 2020s that were overhyped and underdelivered. We're talking Cyberpunk. We're talking No Man's Sky. These games that came out that everybody was looking forward to and then just completely were not ready, but they were clearly rushed to the market.
You know what's beautiful? What the thing is about that though is like Cyberpunk, yes, was kind of a flop, but with it's hard to come back from that sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
But Cyberpunk was developed. How long was it in development? I don't even really remember.
It was like 7 years. Let me
7 years.
Let me check that. The game, again, take this with a grain of salt. This is Reddit. The top result is this game was actually in development for over 9 years.
And I don't know when they started development on GTA 6, but that's just a little over half of how long they've supposedly, you know what I mean?
Right.
What? We've been waiting seriously close to that, if not longer, for GTA 6.
Well, GTA 5 came out in, I believe, 2013, if I'm not mistaken. So It's been 11 years. It's definitely time.
Yeah.
But, so we got that one that's going to be hype when that drops.
But they were able to fix Cyberpunk with
they were, and No Man's Sky.
And it's gorgeous.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? I don't know. I went back and played it, I think at your recommendation. And it was insane. I mean, it was so much better than the first playthrough. And honestly, I'm not even gonna lie. I got Cyberpunk when it first came out and I had fun. You know what I mean? Yeah, there's some weird bugs that, but at the same time, the game was playable and it was a fun story. And so I don't know.
No, absolutely. I mean, unfortunately, my system couldn't run it at the time, and again, I was broke. I had spent my money on other things, so when that dropped, I didn't have it. I think I really got. Well, and here's another game that felt unfinished and really just, felt like it was left to the dogs. But when Fallout 76 came out, I was so hyped for that, and I pre-ordered that. I think I paid like $90 or something. I was so excited because Fallout 4 was like one of my favorite games at the time. And again, sue me, I enjoyed Fallout 4, but
it was good.
When that game came out and it just flopped, I got scared off. I'm not pre-ordering anything anymore. It's just the whole concept of putting money out on something that has a 50-50 shot at either being amazing or a complete flop in today's market. I choose to just hold on, see if it discounts. Especially if I see it discount too early, I know it's a flop.
Yep, absolutely.
But we've got that one. We've got State of Decay 3 coming out. We played State of Decay a couple times.
Yeah, together.
Back on the Xbox, so that'll be interesting to see.
Pretty fun to revisit that.
Let's see, we've got one thing that here is shocking to me. I never thought I'd see this title. Apparently, Crazy Taxi is getting a renew.
Oh my god.
We'll see what that looks like.
We'll see how that goes.
Light No Fire is going to be really exciting when that drops. If you haven't seen gameplay on that, it is. Oh my gosh. Okay, tell you what, I'm actually going to pull this one up. Light No Fire. I am Jamie. I'll pull it up. The announcement trailer on this, and again, take it with a grain of salt. It's an announcement trailer. Whoops. Like, the concept of this is going to be crazy if they pull it off.
it gives me the vibe of it is a little bit, but so much more. Just get these all real.
Well, see, the thing about this is that it's made by the developers of No Man's Sky. I think it's what is it, Big Little Games or something like that? Hello Games. So, you know, No Man's Sky was the first AAA title they had ever attempted. This is supposed to be what they're calling a quadruple A title, which technically I know has already been awarded to, was it Skull and Bones, the Ubisoft pirate game? And that one was just a total flop. I know a lot of people were very upset with that, but you kind of get what you pay for with Ubisoft. But when it comes to something like this, you know, it's going to be very different because they've already shown what they can do with No Man's Sky, and I think they've already learned they can't shoot themselves in the foot and then expect the public to just be okay with it. You know, they have to be willing to put in that extra time and the work. Like, they've already gotten their get out of jail free card. They're not getting another one.
Oh yeah.
But what's really interesting about this game, when I first heard about this, is that it's already been in development for 4 or 5 years now, if I'm not mistaken. And the concept is that it is what they're calling the world's first truly open world game. Because the worlds in No Man's Sky were microscopic, size of an asteroid.
Yeah. It was like infinite worlds, but they were pretty barren.
They were barren and they were small. You could circumnavigate the world in about 3 minutes if you took the time. You even look at like Starfield. You know, it's nowhere near that size. You know, they're moons basically. They're not real planets. This thing is supposed to be the size of Earth, and with real world tagging and or claiming of the environment. So, in theory, you could build a city, make these monuments and things, leave the server, and everyone else in the world would be able to see those things because they exist. It's basically a virtual reality, if you will.
Wow.
So I'm really curious to see what they're going to do with this. Big promises from a studio which has proved to go above and beyond their promises in the past, though it took them far longer than it probably should have to rectify what they said they were going to do initially.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, hey, we'll see, right?
Absolutely.
But of all the games we've talked about, and even some we haven't, what would you say would be the title you are most excited for the next year or so?
In that trailer, Light of Fire, it's like it, man. Honestly, I've lost hope in GTA 6. I don't even think it's real. It's it's just an imaginary, you know. But Light of Fire, that actually might have just taken the cake for me personally. It looks like it's really fun.
It's exciting, but we may be waiting a while. You know, I've heard rumors that it could be another 4 or 5 years in development, but we'll see. I mean, a game that big, listen, if it's anything like No Man's Sky, I'm willing to wait. This thing's going to be incredible when they release it, if they can do all the things that they promised they can do. And they made some hefty promises in that, I will say.
Absolutely.
Oh boy. So, you know what? I think this is a good place for us to start wrapping it up.
Absolutely.
Do you have any final parting words for our fantastic, amazing supporters on Velvet Games YouTube?
Well, that you guys are fantastic and amazing, and this was a lot of fun. Thank you for having me on.
Of course, man. And you know what? We're gonna do it again sometime. We'd love to have you back. If you haven't already, please make sure that you guys like and subscribe. We're gonna be putting these out. I'm gonna try to get them out once a week if I can. We've got a few different guests lined up, and if I can, I'm gonna see about reaching out to other individuals and other YouTubers too. If they're interested in coming on at some point, we can just talk games, life. We didn't really bring up too much in the way of TV shows or anime. I know you're a busy man, Tate, so don't want to put too much of that on you, but thank you guys so much for listening in, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.